Hey everyone, welcome to the Get the Bag podcast, episode 10. We're 10 in to
Let's go.
2023. This is going to be a really great episode. Really excited for what's in store. But I always like to say before we get things going, make sure you subscribe, follow us, like this video, set your reminders, all the things that YouTube provides, to support us. We really appreciate it. We're on here every week, every Wednesdays, just dropping knowledge. So we'd appreciate your support. But today we have a very special guest. Our topic is why your mentality matters. Because I think as entrepreneurs, or just anybody, whether you're not an entrepreneur, your mentality is a make or break, is gonna make or break you, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and I think it's definitely underestimated of like how much your mind, how much you can actually um really what you can do with your mind. And so this special guest we have today, he comes from the Bay, Oakland, California, represent the
representing.
town. He started wholesaling, I believe, back in 2019, 2018, somewhere around that time. Joined Chris Jefferson's Charged Up U program back in 2020. And actually, him and I were kind of connected because we're both from the Bay. So him and I go now a couple years back, and um, like anyone starting out, he's a one man wholesaling team virtually in Virginia. And it wasn't really until he started teaming up with people that he discovered really how to work alongside like-minded people and partnering up and obviously making some money. But fast forward to today, he's kind of really set the tone in terms of mindset and creating sustainable habits that create success in the long run. If you haven't caught his IG, which I'm sure you'll see it on here, you'll see he's got the whole vibes. He's been documenting his self-development journey. Got the candles, the music going. Like it's always a vibe with him.
I
He'll
love
talk
his
about
vibe.
sort of what steps he took to really get his mind right and develop these consistent habits that sometimes really hold us back. Let's welcome Daylan West to the Get the Bag podcast. What's going on, bro?
What's going on? Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's up, bro? What's up?
What's up?
I had to shout out the town. Gotta shout
Absolutely.
out the Oakland Bay represent.
We in here.
Yeah, we in here. Well, I wanted to kind of start off like tell us a little bit about yourself. I did a little brief intro, but you know, what's up with Daylan?
So again, like you said, from the Bay Area, Oakland to be exact, 27 years old. Got started in wholesaling in 2020. Found out about it in 2019, and like everybody else, YouTube University, and things like that, and tried to dangle it myself, but ultimately needed some more back end help, and that's where Chris Jefferson and Charged Up University came in, and I started to slowly get traction. Met with some like minded people, started partnering up with people, and started doing deals that way. And so that was kind of the way I got my foot in the door and started building my business through relationships and partnerships, JVs, and all that stuff. And so 2 years in, it's crazy to say that.
I know.
It's been a long journey. There's been a lot of highs and lows, just with life, with entrepreneurship, the business in general. But I'm happy to be here. It's been something that I've had tremendous excitement for, and a journey that I'm going to continue on. And so, yeah, that's a little bit of my story.
I love
I
that.
love it.
I know that we've known you for a while, and you've been a really big supporter within at least the Group and the community as a whole.
Mhm.
And through your motivation with the mindset and stuff, I know that it's picked me up a couple times as well too, just hearing your story and hearing things that has happened in your business, um, and I know that you've partnered up with others. Can you tell us more about that part of your journey too?
Yeah. So I mean, in this business, unlike I haven't been in any other businesses, but I think the special thing about wholesaling is you can really utilize relationships to your advantage a lot. You know what I mean? And part of that for me was looking to be how can I add value to someone else who is already having success. You know what I mean? Not going in and saying, well, no, what can I get from them and that and the other. How can I be of service to them? How can I provide in any way? And as we know in this business, it's it's sales, it's marketing, it's lead generation. So if you can provide any of those things to someone, you're going to be of value of service. And so, I really honed in on being someone that could bring in leads, bring in that type of traction, and then you know, teaming up with people who on the back end were able to disposition those deals, meaning they could sell them to the end buyer and things like that. And so that was kind of my game plan going in, and it's been my game plan ever since because I've enjoyed it. Funny enough, I was looking back on my past deals and things like that, and I only, for the exception of one deal that I did, all the way through the process by myself. The rest have been partnership JV deals. And when I think about that, it's like the one deal I did do by myself, as gratifying as it was, I went through the whole process. I was proud of myself. Like, man, I really did this. It was just the worst experience in terms of all that, going the back and forth between the title, between the seller, between the buyer, and all that stuff. And I was like, man, it took so much time away from other parts of my life. And for me, I'm big on just like having the balance. Business is one thing, but we talked about mentality, my physical health, my spiritual health, my financial health. They're all important. So I need to figure out a way where I can do the business, but also focus on me. And so partnership was the main reason that I stuck with that, because it allowed me to share myself in other spaces and not feel like, I was, losing myself here and losing myself there when I did it all by myself. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah,
No,
no.
definitely did. I think you're ahead. You're thinking ahead because that's what a lot of people now, where being in Chris's group, that's what he's kind of really mentioning right now is like, hey, partner up with people. We should partner up with each other. You have a huge JV network, if you're in this specific group, and you took advantage of that like right off the bat. You're always like looking into connecting with others, and I think that just tells into who you are as a person. Is like, hey, I don't know everything. Like this is your expertise. Like I'm gonna focus on my process, but
Right.
let's work together, because doing a deal by yourself from start to finish, I mean, imagine having 5 of those, like, it's just not sustainable, right? And so, without having to hire anybody, you can really partner up with people, focus on one end of the business, whether it be acquisitions or dispositions, and you can make a pretty good amount of money, like, once you figure out the process, because and you don't feel alone, and I think that's probably the biggest thing too is, like, "Hey, I have somebody I can talk to, I can, like, strategize with," or, like, just and that's something you've done right off the bat, and you have found success, and now you've kinda built your business around that, so I think for anybody starting out, I think this is a great way to sort of add value like you talked about, is figuring out what other people need and then just like, "Hey, let me just bring the leads over to you." So I think you were ahead of the game way before everyone started, like, making it cool.
And then let me
Right.
say this too. As much as like it was like finding people who were, already successful in the business and things like that, it was people who I connected with and resonated with and had genuine connection with. And so it feels like still to this day, feel like I'm doing business with friends. And
Yeah,
it's just a great part. I mean, me and G were working on some deals out here, and it just felt so natural, because
yeah,
we automatically clicked and connected. We're from the same area, but then also we also have this work ethic and drive and ambition that we both see in each other, and it just made us okay. I can trust you to handle whatever you're handling, and you can trust me to handle whatever I'm handling. And so that's another key component, is making sure
absolutely.
you feel like connected to whoever you're doing business with. And just
Mm.
like sellers want to do business with people they like, us as investors want to do business with other investors we like, as we should. So um
Right, because 'cause we've
that
been cut out some deals or whatever, and, like, you kinda learn, like, who you can and can't trust, and, like,
Yeah.
you get through a deal, then you're like, "Okay, yep, never working with you again, but hey, I got I got paid." So,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a great way outlook to look at it.
Mhm.
But I kind of want to switch it up into like talk to us about your self-development journey. Like what was it like before you got into wholesaling and like to the point where you're at now? Like what talk to like what was that journey like for you to really get straight up into self-development and just sort of being that complete person or the the best version of yourself?
Okay, so before wholesaling is, I always knew I wanted to be in entrepreneurship in some form. But entrepreneurship now more than ever is so broad and vast.
Let's see if we can get Dalen.
Yeah. We call it the in the trunk, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's in the trunk. Yeah, so it's Oakland Hills. I know he lives. He was telling me. I know the area he lives in. Those the service out there sometimes. But we'll keep it
It's
rolling
like you
until.
can
Oh,
keep,
he's like on
you
his.
know?
Yeah, we can hear you now, man. You froze
Okay.
up there for a minute.
Yeah, you froze up for a minute.
Okay.
I was saying it's those Oakland Hills connections. You know.
Right. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, like I was saying, I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to get into entrepreneurship wise, trying to figure that stuff out. And so I just, started to go into, just listening to different successful people and kind of get into the mindset before I even got into a certain thing. And, I remember, crazy enough, I remember in 2019 listening to a interview on the Breakfast Club by Mark Whitten, and he mentioned wholesaling. And when I first heard it, I was like, it sounds too good to be true.
It
Like
always
you
does.
find a homeowner, get them under contract, you find somebody to buy it, $10,000. You know what I mean? And I'm like, nah, I don't know about that. I remember shooting it to some people like, hey, do you think this is possible? And they were under the same mindset, like, nah, that sounds like, that doesn't sound good to, or too good to be true. And it was on my mind, but I didn't really take action. And so, fast forward some months later, a friend actually reached out to me and, mentioned this this real estate seminar for 3 days. And we ended up going together to it. And when I tell you it was the most boring, just trying to pack your mind with so much information in 3 days. It wasn't a very, exciting experience. It wasn't something I was, enjoying at the time, but I told myself, you know what, I want more for myself. I want to be more, do something better for myself. At the time I was working at UPS. I didn't enjoy it. I felt like I was stuck in the mud. And I was surrounded by people who were just, happy to be there, no excitement, no
He'll be back. We'll be back.
It's all good.
He's trying to get through. Let's see.
they were
Well, I think until he gets back,
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll be back shortly. I think he brings up really good points, and it's like you kind of want to expose yourself in terms like self development. Like, what does that
Mhm.
really like truly mean? Is you're working on yourself, like you're you're your own project, so to speak,
Right.
right? Like
Mhm.
looking at like where you want to be, what life you want to have, and listening in on like how other people view it. Like it's all about like how it's like how you view things. Because
Mhm.
maybe before wholesaling, before we got into entrepreneurship, we saw things totally different, and then once we're exposed to it, it's like a whole other world that you're exposed to. And as you surround yourself with more people, and I think this is the beauty of like building a community, is you're able to get a chance to be surrounded by real successful people or people that are on the same wavelength as you, just trying to make it.
Mhm.
And I think that's like that's key to really moving you forward, because there's going to be different phases in your life where you're going to be tapped, the ceiling, you're done, and you have to adjust to move to the next phase. And it's
Mhm.
surrounding yourself always with people that can lift you up. Oh, I see we got Daylan back.
Yeah, we got him
Okay.
back.
I don't know what's going on. Of course, it's technical difficulty, but
It's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
it's all good.
to I want to myself and I ended up coming back to wholesaling at the last day, the last slide they had mentioned wholesaling, and I was like, okay, I got to do this. And of course, they had some crazy upsell, $30,000 for a hands-on person, and they were like, hey, even if you can't afford it, you might as well just sign up. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna sign up. And they ended up pitching, they upsold, and then they downsold. Okay, if you can't afford this, we have this $3,000 e-course, that comes with the webinar and stuff like that. And I was like, I didn't even have $3,000 at the time. I ended up maxing out 3 different credit cards just to get that e-course that ended up being no good. But it proved to myself that I was willing to bet on myself, to step out on faith, and it was like the beginning of me like really saying that I'm committed to this. Like, this is not just an interest. This is not just a want. This is something I'm really
He looks clear. He's all clear.
I
It's
know,
just
he's
the
all
audio.
clear.
Um, yeah,
to
and I
put
think
blood.
oh, there he goes. Give it another second. I mean, I think betting on yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
there you go. You back. You back.
Oh my goodness. It feel like I'm in the Matrix. I keep glitching.
It really is. It
No,
really is a
right?
matrix.
In and out. Like I can hear you, then I can't see you. Like, oh, man, it's killing me. But to finish the point is like, doing that, like, it showed me that I was willing to take whatever steps. Um, and then from there, I ended up, just starting off myself, doing the YouTube University, but also taking time to self develop, read up on certain books that could help, creating better habits for myself. I did a full, pretty much 180 or makeover of my mentality, who I was. I wanted something different for myself, so I figured the best way to do that is become something different. And I just started to create routines, start to just really become a scholar, studying everything I could, and just enhance everything about myself in order to prepare myself for the entrepreneurship journey. And that was kind of the beginning of the self-development right there. Started journaling more, like I said, reading and just writing, and just putting myself in a position to be uncomfortable, because I knew that whatever I was doing, I was doing it for
I like
Yeah.
one thing he said, of like getting uncomfortable and
Mhm.
becoming a scholar. Like that,
up to
when
this
you can
point.
recognize, oh, there you go. When you get to the point where like, hey, I need to work on myself, or
Mhm.
my mentality isn't right, like that's when when you have that awareness, That's when you know like your mentality, like you're starting to evolve as you are, right?
Right.
Because if you just kind of ignore, you just want to stay the same, keep doing the same things, like you're going to be stuck.
Yeah,
Right.
Um,
and that was my mentality, thinking like, yeah, I gotta be different, and
Mhm.
just do different to become different to get different, and that's really sparked the journey of self development, and I haven't looked back since. It's been something that has become my character, um, and it's second nature at this point. It is who I am and what I do, and so. Yeah, it started, back then, and it's continuing on, and I'm seeing the fruits of it, and inspiring other people to, take on the same journey themselves. That those people who want better and more for themselves as well. So it's been exciting to see it for myself and others take it on too.
Yeah, I love that. I know you kind of touched about this a little bit, and I think this is an important thing in what you said is the habits part, right? And habits and routines and getting into kind of a rhythm of I know people get in a rhythm of their life or create habits within their life, but also in their business, what they do in the morning, what's their process and getting started. I think that's a real important. I know a lot of entrepreneurs out there kind of focus on that and focus on what other CEOs or founders are doing within maybe a different industry and why they're successful because they may get up early, they may meditate, whatever. What are some of your habits and routines that you kind of developed for yourself?
oh,
I think, yeah, he's a great thing, but let's go over to G.
what
What are some of your habits?
I think one thing for me too is I because I have a 9 to 5, time is key for everything. And so I started getting up early between 5 and 5:30 to just kind of get my routine started, and I started doing mobility stretches in the morning, meditation, um, going on a walk, or at least like a
Mhm,
short brisk walk, just to kind of get me going. I've recently started journaling, where as soon as I wake up, I
mm,
just write what's on my mind, because I'm an overthinker. I
mhm,
like my mind is always like busy. I'm a busybody, busy mind, like thoughts always going through my head. So if it's a way I can write things down, I'm going to do that. But my morning routine, like setting that, really sets the tone for my day. And when something is off in my routine, I sense it. And I know it's not always going to be perfect. Things are always going to pop off, like personal stuff, which does affect it sometimes. And we're humans, right? It's just not, things aren't always going to go our way. But for the most part, if you can have a routine down that just really works for you and works for your family and just makes sense. I think it's a big thing. And I think they've also mentioned, like, you don't create success, you create successful habits that lead to success, right?
mhm.
And so I think that's the biggest key, is like you're not building goals or whatever. It's like you're building habits that lead to that. What's up, Dalen?
Yep, I'm back.
It's all good.
So I think the question was, what specific like routines or like habits did you create to kind of get you to the point where you're at now?
I would say heavy on time blocking, and so adding in those consistent routines, morning routine and night routine. So
My God, in the trunk again.
I know,
Dang.
right?
I
Yeah, he'll come back on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but I think talking about morning, and that's one thing I'm working on is my night routine. That's one
Mm,
thing where it's like just getting in the flow of like going to bed. I usually go to bed a little bit early because I wake up early, but um, setting like setting the tone for you to go to sleep. Like they always
mm,
suggest, hey, don't no screens 2 hours before, which is really really hard.
yeah.
Um, like reading or stretching or doing something to really prepare you the bed, just like the same thing you prepare yourself for the morning. um because if you can prepare, if your night routine rolls into your morning routine, so if you don't have a night routine that gets you kind of to bed and you get a restful sleep, you're not going to be as productive the following day. So it's like your
Mhm.
night routine really equals to your morning routine. So that's something I'm working on myself, to get to that position, where we can do that. There we are. We got my guy in. Like, talk to us about your night routine. I was just saying how the night routine equals out to your morning routine or rolls into it. Like,
Mhm.
what sort of things, like, because that's hard for me to like set. Talking about no screens 2 hours before is like recommended. Like, what sort of action steps did you take for your night routine?
So, same like you just said, the no screen thing is very big. And I've read that and heard about that multiple times. So I was like, yeah, let me actually implement this because it's so hard. It's like the last thing you want to do is just check all your notifications, check your email, whatever it may be, last text. But having the discipline to put it away, read for 30 minutes, and then journal for 30 minutes, and then journal for the last 30 minutes.
I feel like he's dropping bombs in
Yeah.
there.
I know, right? Those gems are
There's
dropping.
some gems in there, man. I swear. Um, okay, we got.
Got him
Yeah,
on the
I had to,
phone now. Yep.
yeah, I was gonna say I have to
Switch
switch that.
system.
Let me just switch the system up because yeah, this is clearly not going. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
got you.
We
Okay.
got you.
This might be better here. Uh, but yeah, so having that discipline to say, you know what, I'm gonna read for 30 minutes, or journal for the last 30 minutes, and just whatever you need to do to get off your phone before going to bed is, one of the ways that I found to be more effective for a nightly routine, and it helps me get a better night's sleep because I don't have the blue lights before going to sleep, and
Right.
it helps me even like crazy enough during my dreams I'm thinking about the last thing I wrote about or the last thing I read
Mm,
about, and so it's like in my subconscious state I'm taking it in as well, and so it's like dual process at the same time. So it's been extremely helpful for to set both the nightly routine and the morning routine because they do balance off each other like you said.
right. What sort of things are you triggering? Because in building healthy habits, or that Atomic Habits
Mm-hmm.
book, it talked about you have to set a trigger for these habits to kick into place. What's your trigger for your night routine? Because I guarantee a lot of people, like, everyone harps about the morning routine, but I think the night routine is so key. What's your trigger to, like, okay, I'm now starting my night routine? Is it the time block, or is it like you're in a specific, you're in your room? Like, what's your trigger?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like I have a little on my phone that won't let me miss a beat. They ding off and say, "All right, time to journal." Put the phone down. I make sure that I have my book close to where I read at in the same spot. That's another thing is just have things in the same place, and build that same routine with things. Um, so I would say those are the main triggers. But for the most part, it's become routine. so I don't even have to really think about it or think about, okay, what do I need to do. It's just I can almost know, okay, I see the
It's
time.
automatic.
It's
Yeah.
automatic. It's 9 o'clock. All right, you already know what time it is, and it's time to settle down and go towards reading and stuff like that. So um, I guess that's pretty much the triggers and how they work now.
Yeah. I think the night routine, for me, I'm more of a night owl, right? So, and then I use that time to kind of learn about not just about the industry, just about technology, what's going on in different spaces that could affect the industry. So I try to learn more. And then when I get tired, I think I need to do a better job of, um, you know, kind of turning off the screens and then having that routine. So I haven't implemented that for me myself. So these are some good tips, that you have for that. So I think I'm going to try that for, maybe the rest of the month and, hit you up and tell you
Mhm.
what's good on that.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, after a while, you do it for a month. I promise you, it's gonna feel like second nature. They say
Yeah.
like it takes about 21 days to really form a habit. And so after you take the time to do it, you start naturally like knowing, okay, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I want to do, and so it just becomes, like you said, second nature. So yeah, I think that's a great plan for sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely. Um, I think the biggest thing is you've started documenting this process, right? You've been documenting it on IG specifically. I don't know if any other platforms, but you document like, hey, I'm up, think bigger. You're documenting you're lighting your candles, you're reading, even your night routine. Talk to us about like what kind of inspired that. Was it to hold yourself accountable? Like what kind of thing? Tell us about like what made you think of it to document in the first place and sort of where you're at about it now.
I think it's a lot of things that a lot of ways I can answer that question, but what comes to mind first was that I'm really a low key person. Naturally, I'll say I'm an ambivert, but I naturally like to just be by myself, keep my life private. But there was a point where I was like, I need to put myself out there. Like I had mentioned before, where I wanted to just be something different, and so I decided to like break out of my shell and say, I'm just gonna put myself out there, the goods, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is, and document it. And lo and behold, people resonated with that because they see the real you, and they can follow along and say, okay, I remember when you were doing this and just started this, and now it's here, and all that type of stuff. And I can look back and say, look, what I mean, look and say the same thing, like, wow, I remember when I just started and first found out about wholesaling, and I documented when I went to that seminar we were talking about, and I made a post on it, and it just reminds me back to, dang, I remember when I thought this was impossible. I thought that this was, so far out of reach and too good to be true. And, I looked back and looked at my past deals, and I've done 8 deals. And I was like, dang, I did the impossible 8 times in my mind.
Mm,
Mm.
And so, like,
mm,
anytime I look at something like, oh, that could possibly be impossible, I say, well, remember when you did the impossible, those 8 times, why can't you do it again? And those are the reasons why I fell in love with documenting it, because it just shows the life journey, the path that you're on, and allows other people to see it and feel more grounded in their path and journey, to know that, okay, if he did it, then why can't I? And so
yeah.
I'm continuing to document and show, because it's just it not only inspires others, it inspires myself, and it does hold me accountable. It keeps me on the straight and narrow. It like guides me towards my North Star, because I know why I started. I know where I started from, and I have a target that I'm going to, and it keeps me aligned with it. So, those are kind of
Mm,
some of the reasons I stay with it, and being comfortable documenting so much of my story.
right. Now, with you documenting that, do you also write it down or do you document through social media? I know you do a lot of social media on this topic too. So, what are maybe some things that people can do to kind of maybe help document their process so they can look back on, what's making success for them, right? And helping them out.
So I do a little bit of both. Uh, one, actually record certain things that I feel like, okay, this is the beginning of something. Whenever I feel like extremely, uncomfortable, or it's the start of a new journey, I make sure I take the time to, okay, let me just document, take a little photo or whatever that may be. But then I'm really heavy into journaling. I journaled almost every day, last year, and I can look back and see, okay, I remember during this time I felt this way, and this time during the next experience I did this, and it just keeps a record, a count of you and your experiences and things like that. So I'll preach, journaling until I lose breath, because it's just been something that has helped me become so aware of myself and aware of the things that I've experienced. It keeps a track of your history, and it just keeps you, in tune with yourself, because once it comes out of your thought, and from pen to pad, it's just something about it that's another level of depth.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the ways to really document the journey, is to keep your an account of the things and experiences you have, good, bad, however it feels, and keep a record of it, because it just keeps you aware of yourself, and closer to where you need to go, and keep you straight. So hope that
I love
answered.
that. I
Yeah,
think
that's
I think
awesome.
that's so important. That's one thing I've started doing myself is journaling, because I've realized I have so many thoughts, especially when I wake up in the morning. So many thoughts going through my head, and it's one thing to release those thoughts and get them on paper, like you said, because otherwise they're stuck and you're gonna feel blocked because you're thinking about, you know, what's going on, and what's going on in your life. And so, I think journaling is super underrated. If it's something that you can implement, you should implement that, even if it's writing something out, because it helps you go through the hard times too.
Hmm.
And like you can look back and say, hey, I went through these hard times. So, um, my question to you, Dalen, is how do you keep that balance? Like, how do you keep the balance between, like you talked about, hey, I try to keep that balance of like having a really, I don't want to say strict routine, but like a really uh disciplined routine, to like where you can live life a little bit too, because it's not all about the discipline or the routines per se. Like you want to live life too. Like how do you find that balance?
Yeah, I'll say it's pretty difficult, to be honest. It's something it's a work in progress. It's not like I have it down pat. But like we talked about before, one of the ways is like utilizing relationships, and open up space to do other things by focusing on one part of the business, and so you can have the time to work on other parts of whatever you want to get into, because you're not fully and indulged in just the business itself. And so finding balance for me looks like, okay, I'm gonna set this up into a point where I can almost do it in my sleep.
Mhm.
I've been having more automation, as we all been with the marketing and SMS and texting, and been on the marketingplex and stuff. Been heavy in learning that, and so it frees up my time to do other things. I took a lot of time to like learn it and understand it on the forefront, because I knew that this could be something that could free up so much of my time, because it can pretty much run itself. And as we're
Yeah.
stepping into this new age of automation and things like that, is one thing to you'll want to learn it, because it's coming regardless. And that has allowed me to have a little bit more time to myself to work on the things that really matter to me, take care of my mental health, physical health, and things like that. And so that has allowed a lot of me to kind of spread out in other ways, and kind of feel that balance you were talking about.
Yeah, the balance is hard. I still struggle with that a little bit, because it's like you want to be committed to your goals and everything like that, but it's like you also have to live, because life is short, right? You want to also um appreciate, like, the people you surround yourself with, and live a little. So that's I think that's a constant struggle.
Definitely, definitely. I think what's I think we kind of talked about this a little bit is you know your balance, or like what keeps you balanced, or how do you keep balanced in this whole process, right? I think for us, it's for me, I know um, taking a break helps me a lot, right? Because sometimes I have to step away, like you know um, I came back refreshed. Like, I took a break on my birthday. I didn't do anything related to work or anything like that. I just took a mental like break, and I think that next day it was like, I don't know, it was like kind of reborn and fresh and ready to go and ready to tackle it. And I think we get stuck in this routine of go, 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 go. And we don't really take a break for ourselves mentally or even physically, because we're either working out in the morning or we're, mentally, in the business all the time, or relationships or whatever you have. It's, there's always something. So when you're able to kind of disconnect from just media, disconnect from your job, or disconnect from, you know, just kind of the your everyday routine, is that something that you've uh, used, or how? What's your balance? I guess what's your balance in your life?
Oh, absolutely. That's funny you said that because even yesterday, I was feeling overwhelmed. I just had a lot going on, in the business and life in general, and I felt like I just needed a release. And when I feel like that, I go on a hike, I go on a walk, I just get outside and you know just make space for myself, and what I mean. And a lot of those times, like you said, you come back to your work feeling refreshed, and
Hmm.
feeling like, okay, I feel a little bit more clear. I have more clarity, um, and so I've been having to work on that while also being in this grind mode. This, we're in this hustle culture, and it's get it,
Hmm.
get it, get it. It's not much emphasis on relaxation and resting and resetting, and you have to take it upon yourself to do it because your employer or even yourself, you run yourself into the ground, just based on the
Yeah.
nature of the society we live in. And so I really take time to implement self-care routines and things like that where I can step fully away from my work and just relax, whether it's like getting
Hmm.
massages or, like I said, going on a hike or going on a long drive, or what I mean, simply just being, taking the time to take a nap, and rest.
Hmm.
And I know G's a hooper like me. There's a hoop court around the corner from my house, and I'll just, even in midday, I'll just go there and put up some shots. And I used to, when I
Yeah.
first, it felt like, dang, I'm wasting time. I need to be on my business, but at the same
Hmm.
time, I'm like, I'm here to enjoy life. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not just work. And so, taking time to do those things help a lot. It keeps you, you know, in it for the long haul. Because if not, it's so easy to burn yourself out, and not even recognize it. And for me, it took me to like speak to people like, man, I'm feeling some type of way, and something feels off. And they were like, you sound burnt out. And I was like,
Oh
I,
Mm.
I
yeah.
never, I never been
Burnout's
burnt
real.
out. You're right.
Yeah,
I never,
that is real.
I did, I never knew what it was until somebody pointed it out, and I was like, okay, I need to get serious about this because if I keep continuing like this on this grind, then it's only gonna last for so long before I just self destruct. And so I
Right.
think that's extremely important, Tim. Resetting, taking the time to yourself, and taking the time to like really rest and refocus is important. I think it's extremely necessary, and something I'm working on and still and do to this day. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Because I think the biggest thing is like, this is a marathon, and
Mm.
the way I look at it is the race never ends. It's just the finish line keeps getting extended out.
Mhm.
Right. So it's, I think the way we, in this hustle culture of like go, 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 which of course sometimes you have to, but you can't. I know so many people having heart attacks at 40, or like, like anxiety attacks, stress attacks, whatever, because they stop taking care of themselves. It's like if you're on the go, 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 like why, like how are you even going to enjoy the fruits of your labor if you won't even be alive or you won't be able to really enjoy it? So really taking that time to take care of yourself and take that break. People always think like, oh, well, somebody's going to, someone's going to, I don't know, I'm going to miss something or
Mhm.
whatever. We're just talking about either one day or, hey, maybe an hour where we take out of our day to like reset. And sometimes that's
Mhm.
what's needed. And that's where the mentality comes into play, is because the burnout, when you're burnt out, you're not going to be able to push as farther, because you're limiting yourself, you're blocking yourself. So you need to find ways to release. But just know, like the end game, it never ends. It just keeps getting pushed back so that we can excel and excel and excel. So looking at it from that perspective, is that you're always going to have goals. You're always going to be accomplishing these goals and then creating more goals. So, it's the long game. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the hustle culture necessarily. Focus on like what works for you, and the rest kind of figures itself out. I think we just put that pressure on ourselves of like, oh, we see these people, social media, everyone's talking about hustle this, hustle that. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not sustainable. It's just not, you can't do that 24/7. You can't do that
No.
365 days a year. That's just not how it works. So your mentality, it starts here, like understanding, recognizing the signs, like, oh, I'm getting tired or I'm getting agitated or
Mm.
whatever. I need to stop. Let me meditate. Let me do this and that. Let me find ways of like things that you enjoy. I think people stop doing that.
Yeah.
So just wanted to add that in.
No. Yeah, I think that's important too because um people starting out in this business, it's a go, 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 right? And then, when I think early on when we kind of were in our kind of West Coast group, you guys had posted, you guys went to Golden State game. And I thought
Oh
that
yeah.
was like really cool, just because you guys, bonded over basketball. And
Hmm.
that's something that you guys did on the side and just, you know, took the business out of it and then enjoyed that moment together. Right. So I think people need to do that more.
Yeah, we still talked business, or
Of
like,
course, it
I
was a
think Daylan
business.
had just closed a deal, and so we are just talking about
Right.
stuff. But it's where you mix kind of
Yeah.
business and pleasure. It's a little combination. Of course, you don't want to like have it solely sometimes be all business, but it was just nice to kind of, because both me and Daylan are huge Warrior fans, and that was an amazing game in of itself because there's a lot of like um good clips in that one. But I think it's just, yeah, living life. Like life
Hmm.
is too short. So I did want to kind of ask you, Dalen, too, on like what your what's kind of your goals, like kind of what's next for you, like in terms long term goals, or like what's something you want to focus till the end of this year, and then also like long term.
Um, so long term, or for the end of this year, really, um, I see myself, growing. Actually, really got involved in a legitimate partnership in my business, and so we've been like building the foundational steps, almost like restarting, but together. And it's been a great journey together, and I see it us growing in our businesses, and as I look long term, it looks like getting to the point where the business is almost fully operational with or without my participation. I feel like I'm gonna be somebody who just like they just call me in to sign here, sign this, and this. What I mean? The wire will be sent to you to whatever bank account, and that'll be my wholesaling business. My work in that. But then I have aspirations of having being financially independent. And having that financial freedom, and so that looks like me having my passive income obviously outweigh my expenses, and real estate is one of the ways that's going to be a vehicle for me in that regard, and as well as stocks and dividends and having those just assets pay for my life, and so I can, live for free. Uh, I see
Mm-hmm.
myself living a life where I can have as many choices as possible. The freedom to do whatever I want, when I want, where I want, and that's one of the long-term goals, as well as also started a personal brand um, called Day to Day, which is almost a lot of what we're talking about, and it's mental,
Mm.
uh, physical, spiritual, and financial practices that help to enhance your growth in those areas through just like simple, like we talked about, journaling or going on a walk or yoga or meditation and things like that will help in those areas. And so I see myself using that or getting involved in that brand and building it up, and it having a large impact on people and many lives. And then also just being like just peaceful and purposeful. I see my life going from this grind and this hustle to build up my legacy and things like that, to it waning down to a life where I'm just enjoying you know being here, and having the time to spend with my loved ones, to do what I enjoy, to help people, to serve. Um, and so it's all the work. I know it's not in vain. It's en route to live that life of just relaxation. um,
Mm-hmm.
Also in doing business as well. So um, those are the things I see coming up, and soon in the future, and kind of what I'm working towards as a target. So
I love
yeah.
that. And it's really cool because you and I went out for dinner um last month, I think, and we were just talking about it. And I was like, dude, because you were talking about your brand and what it is that you're working on, and like kind of like, yeah, real estate is cool, but it's not like my passion. Like I really
Mm.
enjoy building these habits and helping others hopefully get to that capacity. And like I could see the twinkle in your eye, like talking about that. And so I just thought it was like a good opportunity for you to like put yourself out here. And it's really great to hear that that's something that you're working on a brand, because I think it's much needed. You don't really see that much out there, especially on giving an entrepreneurial twist to it as well. On like, hey, let's focus on the financial aspect of it, because all of that is, there's all these aspects of living a fulfilled life, and you want to be able to be financially stable, and be financially stable for your family. So
Mhm.
that's really really exciting. And what would be one thing you, because I know we're wrapping up here, like what would be some things you want to leave the audience with? Maybe a lot of them like don't have a habit set in place, don't have
Mhm.
routines, maybe they work 2-3 jobs. What do you want to leave the audience with based off of what we've talked about?
Yeah, if I could leave one thing, you know, and for anybody who is on this, journey of self-development, self-care, wanting to get more out of life, anybody who has any type of inclination that they feel like, I deserve more, I want more, personally, I want more in my business, I want more in my relationships, I want more in any capacity, is looking at yourself, and, is kind of raising a mirror to yourself and asking where are the areas that you really need to improve on. And knowing that it's going to be in a long-term journey, and it's shameless plug, it's going to be day to day, something that you're going to have to do on a daily basis, and starting small, and don't look at the end goal. And I thought of something as I was on a walk yesterday, is that we have to dream unrealistically but plan and strategize realistically. And
Mm.
so that looks like is like, okay, I have this target of, becoming my best self, of being a, successful business person. And okay, what steps do I need to take that are realistic? Because that dream is kind of unrealistic because I haven't done it. I may not know anybody who's done it. Okay, but someone's done it, and there are steps to take. And it may be like, okay, I need to wake up earlier. Okay, I need to go to sleep earlier. I need to read for whatever amount of time. And so once you like really set the target, the dream that you have for yourself, the fantasy life, the fantasy person you want to be, look at what steps you really need to take on a practical level, and set some steps in place to get there, because it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a week. It may not happen in a year or two. It's going to be something that slowly, particularly over time. But just look at it like, hey, I'm going to win today, and then I'm going to win tomorrow, and I'm going to win the next day. And you'll look up and it'll become part of who you are, and you won't know anything different. and you accomplish these goals without even recognizing. Like when I looked back and looked at, wow, I've done 8 deals, I didn't even really recognize it because I just been so in love with the process and the journey of
Right.
who I had to become to even accomplish 8 deals. And that's even more rewarding than, don't get me wrong, getting that check it feels good. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, like when you look back and something that you struggle with or was difficult, and maybe closing calls or even cold calling, or I mean, just any part of the business or any part of life that was a struggle, and you can overcome that, that feels so like gratifying, because it's like you accomplished, you like defeated something internally. And those are the biggest wins, because they produce like that inner gratitude and inner fulfillment that I mean, sometimes feels better than the outer reward. So I would say, just take it, like I said, day by day, day to day, and when those make those small wins count.
Love it. You drop a few bars in there. I like
I
kind of
know,
what you
right?
said about the dreams. Talking about like dream like it's unrealistic and then plan like it's realistic or something like that. That was I really like
That
that.
was a bar right
That
there.
was a bar right there. Well, again, Daylan, I know we had some technical difficulties, but appreciate you coming on here. It's been like amazing talk, because I think again, it's something that's underestimated a
Mhm.
lot, is like to work towards your mentality. Like there's things you have to put in place, there's things you have to do. But how can the people reach you? Like what if they
Yeah.
want to learn more about day to day? Like what can we do? How can we get a hold of you?
So yeah, my Instagram is _day, then the number 2 day life on IG. I also have another one that's day to day lifestyle. I kind of use them intertwined. So either one, you'll see me posting about my journey, different things I'm working on, different books I'm reading or have read. I have highlights of different things like that. I'm big on affirmations. I actually meant to mention that before. That's one of the key things that allow me to get out of my own way with self-limiting beliefs, and overcome any confidence issues I've had. And so like learning how to speak life into myself has been a big key. And so that's something I post a lot on. And you can go there and look at the different affirmations. I did an affirmations challenge last month for the whole month. And so that's the kind of content and stuff I just really want to put out, the stuff that has helped me, and hopefully can help someone else. And so again, you can find me _day, the number 2 day, and then life.
Awesome. Well, you know how to get a hold of them. I dropped the IG. We'll also post it in the show notes.
Mhm.
But Daylan, again, appreciate you coming on, brother. Wishing you the best, and let us know when you get that brand community going.
For
I'll
sure.
definitely tap in and be part of that.
Yep. 100%.
Well, hope you guys got a lot out of this. Again, my guy Daylan. If you really want to feel inspired or kind of see what he's talking about, definitely follow him on IG _day to day life on IG. And if you have any questions to us, make sure you also reach out. But appreciate you guys joining in. We'll be back next week with another amazing topic. Make sure you subscribe, like, especially if you like these videos. That's kind of like what you'll be expecting. We have a lot more guests coming up.
Yep.
But hope you have a great rest of your weekend. We'll connect soon and talk to y'all next week.
All right.